A little slow, so we'll go ahead and call to order the 6:30 Land Use and Development Committee meeting with Mrs. Keener.
Thank you, Madam President. We are just going to have a very short committee meeting. This is about the comprehensive plan that Knox County has done, that the city is participating in. Both the mayor and I have been actively participating in that, and then council had the opportunity to sit in, I believe it was February 17th, on the presentation that was done by both Area Development Foundation, who kind of has been coordinating the different organizations, and the, what is the word for them? The contractor who did the work. What is?
Planning Next?
That's it. That's their name. Thank you. I knew he would know. This 5 minutes is really just to ask if anybody has questions, so that we are going to invite Mr. Gottke to come, and the group may also come if we do have significant questions. This was passed by Regional Planning Commission. There was one township that did vote no on it, but it was overwhelmingly in support of what was presented. I know that council has had this for months in front of them, so if you guys have questions, they can be voiced now, and we will just get those to the right people to answer them, because I cannot say that I will know the answer to every question. But we can just start over
So
with
just,
Severance.
is this going to come to us for a vote on it at some point? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, there is legislation about approving this on the agenda tonight, so it will
Yes,
go
yes,
through its
okay.
3 readings.
So we're technically would officially adopt it for the city of Mount Vernon.
Yes.
All right, yeah. I just,
Mr. Repko?
Not at this time.
So we'll just have a committee meeting to discuss, or during the meeting discuss, or?
We'll have another slightly longer committee meeting next session, but I feel like overall, council has been very well kept in the loop about what is in this, what the document even is. As I think it was said repeatedly in that meeting, this is guidelines. This is a direction that we want to go. And I know that some things that the city really loves in this, the sidewalks that connect to bike paths. I mean, we have done so much for connectivity between our parks, our communities. The entire project with Dan Emmett Elementary was really to help create those transportation networks, and specifically the walking paths for students. So things like that you see in this, they are guidelines, but we do want to buy into the plan.
sorry, one other quick question.
Yeah.
So is there like a version that the county passed that would have like possible edits that they wanted, or strike through stuff or something like that we would be able to review?
There is the most updated version. Rob, is that attached in here?
We don't have legislation.
The comprehensive plan?
We don't have legislation on the plan yet.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not on the agenda for tonight. It will be eventually.
okay, well, it was supposed to be.
Maybe if we could get that version of what they passed, I think that might be helpful for us to see.
Yeah, I can get that to everybody. And there were some changes, such as there was an item in there to explore building codes, not put into practice, but to do a study of building codes. That was simply a recommendation, but the Regional Planning Commission didn't even feel comfortable with a recommendation in that direction. And so that was removed from the county section. It is still in the city section. That is not telling the city to put into place building codes. And as somebody who is not for building codes, I hope that you will trust that I still think it's important to have it in there that it was recommended to study, because there are stakeholders that viewed that as important enough to bring forward. I'm not supportive of building codes, but if there are stakeholders who think it's important enough to just do a study and see how that would affect us, I think that needs to be noted. So, yes, I can get you the newest version that was passed by Regional Planning Commission. Sorry, that was a very long answer. Do you have?
I'm good.
Okay. Janice? Okay.
No, I don't have any questions. I just, as you alluded to, I think it's important for the public to know the difference between, these are recommendations, guidelines. The city is not required to do anything necessarily under this. But I do want to add my support to the think that knowing where we're going as a county, if we can all get on board and pull in the same direction, I think that would be a positive. And I hope this takes us a step forward to that.
Oh, well, I have lots of questions, but we'll just, yeah.
I will get everybody that newest version. I think I can get it to you by tomorrow. So I had thought that I had conveyed that we needed legislation, but,
I thought we were waiting for the final version that had been passed.
and it got passed on the 20th. So
Yeah.
we'll get that. And I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Oh, and all my time, so.
Are we allowed to ask questions from, during this?
No, not at this time, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We will call that committee meeting to close and move on to Mr. Severin, Streets and Public Buildings, the city and county transportation update.
Yes, the mayor and I believe Joe Porter is
He's out in the hallway. Joe?
coming.
Joe Porter. Aging Joe Porter. He's talking with one of our security officers out here. So yes, this is Joe Porter. He is with Knox Mobility. Anyway, council, I will, if it's okay,
Kicks
Mr.
off,
Chair,
sure, yes.
if I may just bring you up to speed on this. We have a complete streets policy adopted by city council, and we also have an active transportation. We support the active transportation efforts by the county. In our legislation, we have identified the need for a transportation advisory council at the city level. I had reached out to you, I want to say a couple of months ago, saying, well, the county is already doing this. Why don't we just appoint someone to represent us in that capacity in addition to me? And so we floated the idea to Knox Mobility and the Transportation Coalition in Knox County, and they said, yeah, that's fine. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so that's serving as our sort of that advisory, and it's an advisory council to the city for that matter. So anyway, this is Joe Porter, and he replaced Susie Simpson a while ago and is in charge of Knox Mobility. And this is nothing more than an update. It's information to just keep you in the loop in terms of what all is going on with Knox Mobility and how it's affecting the city. And so, Mr. Chair, if I may turn it over to Mr. Porter.
Yes, Mr. Porter, please.
Yes.
We have about 13 minutes total left.
Okay, if you know me, I can barely get started with 13 minutes, so I'll try to keep it
We
brief.
will
so-
cut you off.
All right, yep, just yell or throw something. So, I'm the program coordinator, mobility management, with Knox Public Health. So, are any of you aware of what mobility management is? Okay. Just in a nutshell, mobility management is a transportation resource, but it doesn't do rides, it doesn't pay for rides, it doesn't book rides. I coordinate transportation programs, so I get a lot of phone calls from folks that are trying to get from point A to point B, and they don't know how to get there. They don't know what the resources are. So I do a lot of that. I also work with the transportation plans. I'm responsible for maintaining the very, very long named county human transportation transit plan, all that good stuff, that is required by ODOT for us to have a public transit agency in the county. So I've been working with the active transportation plans in the county. I've been working with MORPC a little bit, working with all the abbreviated transportation groups and everything, trying to get all the transportation plans coordinated. The mayor came to, and he's been coming to our transportation advisory committees meetings for a few of them. He came to us at the last one, asked us if we would act as the city's transportation advisory committee, and as he stated, duplicating services just seemed like not the thing to do. So we would be happy to act as the city's transportation advisory committee. So we meet quarterly. We have a lot of projects in the hopper, as the mayor is well aware. We have a number of transportation disparities in the county. We actually have a very robust transportation system, One of the things that I found since I came into this, I retired in 2019 and I got bored, so I started driving a bus. And while I was driving the bus, I was like everybody else going, wow, we can do better, we can do better, we can do better, we can do better. Whenever I got into this job and I started working with transportation agencies around the state of Ohio, people in Knox County should be very, very happy and feel blessed for what we have, okay? We have transportation, public transportation agencies in the state of Ohio that do not compare to what we have with Knox County Transit and with our private providers. We have actually had folks from different parts of the state of Ohio come to Knox County to look at our mobility management stuff and our transportation system, okay? So we're doing really, really good, and it seems it's getting better. Really, I don't know what else I can pass on to you. Like I said, I could stand here and speak for hours. I'm very passionate about what I do, and Tammy, your husband, knows. He and I have a lot of conversations. But I do spend a lot of time trying to get folks connected, and particularly it's older folks that have reached that point in their life to where they're wanting to get out and about and do things, but they don't drive or they don't know how they're going to get from point A to point B. We don't want them to become shut-ins, so that's one of the programs I do. I work with our older folks. I help them to be comfortable riding public transportation. It's just I have a whole slew of things that I get into. Janice, it's nice to see you.
Nice to
Is
see
John
you.
staying out of trouble?
Oh, don't ask for
I didn't,
miracles.
okay, I know. With that being said, and as the mayor knows, I can be rather windy. Do you have any questions for me?
Council questions?
So you said other counties should be jealous of us. If you had, your magic wand and could make a wish, what would you change?
What I would do with my magic wand, the top thing with my magic wand right now, and we're working on this with the advisory committee, we have a disparity when it comes to paying for the cost, people being able to pay the cost of out-of-county transportation. So we have a hospital system in the county, but when it comes to specialists, a lot of the specialty care is outside the county. So even with our public transit system, it can be hundreds of dollars for a round-trip ride to Columbus for a medical appointment or something like that. We have Job and Family Services that has an NET, a non-emergency transportation program, that will pay for those trips for folks that are on Medicaid. Everybody else has to pay out of their pocket for the most part, especially if they're coming from home. So with the exception of we have folks in nursing homes, they can get some out-of-county transportation through that. So one of the things we're working on right now, and it just so happens Dane Bogman, who is the net supervisor for JFS, is working to create a framework. We're trying to create a program to where we can help supplement and help folks offset the cost of those rides. There are a number of folks that I cannot find resources for. I've had folks that have been faced with spending $300–400 for a round trip to Columbus, even more if they're going to Cleveland. Again, when our older population with Medicare, Medicare does not pay for transportation from home to a medical appointment, whether it's in county or out of county. So those folks are sitting over here trying to get to their specialist down in Columbus. They don't drive. A lot of them don't have family that can take them down, and they're faced with this high cost to get down there. Again, and the mayor and I have worked on, we communicate a lot, and he recommended that I sit in on the legislative meeting Friday out at Health, and I did, and I presented that problem to Representative Lear and Senator Brenner. We need to fill that gap. Our folks that may be on Social Security, our older folks that do not qualify for Medicaid, are not eligible for the NET program, so they can't, I mean, they're making $16,000, $18,000 a year trying to figure out how to get to Columbus for a medical appointment. That's what I'd do if I could wave a magic wand, Tammy.
Thank you.
I would make the money tree grow and find a way, but we are trying to put a program together to help with that, and that's probably going to be the first program in the state of Ohio to attempt to do that through a mobility management program. So I'll be coming to you for support as we go along. Anything else I can answer?
Councilman?
Thanks for letting me speak.
Porter,
Mayor,
thank you
thanks
for
for
coming.
inviting me.
Yes, absolutely.
And also, then I'll sit over here by Cheryl.
Got a few minutes left over there, folks.
So we're ahead of schedule?
Move on? Yeah, we're ahead of schedule. That doesn't happen very often. Okay, we will move on to the Gray Matter Systems contract under utilities with Mr. Ruckman.
Thank you, Madam President. We have this committee meeting, we had the first reading for legislation having to do with the final upgrade for the gray matter systems and the water and wastewater plants. So Aaron's going to run us through some of just the information, kind of go over what this is, not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of the public as well. And like I said, this is also the final phase, and I would also make mention, just to bear in mind, going forward, that we did actually budget for these as well. So it's not really changing anything there. So this is part of the plan. This is just so everybody is well informed. So, sir?
Evening, Council. The LIMS system, as it's known, is what it stands for is Laboratory Information Management System. So what we're going to do with this, right now, all our bench sheets are paper. Everything is wrote down on paper. There's no way to analyze it. This is going to digitize everything in the lab. And to kind of build off what John had said, this is our final phase of our 3-year capital improvement plan for our operational technology and lab upgrades. So this will be the final piece that we'll be putting in. We did budget for it this year, and it is appropriated in the budget at both facilities. So, and kind of start we have stores and organizes all of our test results, reports, reporting and analytics. It'll help us generate our reports, takes a human element out of it, so it cuts down on mistakes and numbers getting transposed and whatnot. Insights for decision making. This will be very crucial at the wastewater plant. We'll have the ability to take all the information they gather and trend it. So if the weather changes, we'll be able to analyze all that. And then we can go back, if we start getting the same thing, we get a problem happening at one of the plants, we can go back in prior years, pull that information forward to help us kind of head off that issue. Regulatory appliance, it'll help us adhere to Ohio EPA monitoring, reporting, and records retention. A lot of the plants have special record retention that we need to do. This is going to help that immensely. We'll have it all digitized. Now a lot of our sludge stuff is in cardboard boxes, sits there. If you need it, you're going through it. It can be daunting at sometimes. So this will help us take care of all of that. Workflow animation, it streamlines lab procedures and reduces human error. Inventory management, all our lab reagents, once you open them, there's a certain shelf life on those. All those need to be monitored, and if they expire, you have to get rid of them. This will help take care of that. Instead of everybody having to go around checking them all the time, it'll be on the computer, it'll bring it up when they're about to expire so we can reorder them and go that way. Integration capabilities, it'll integrate, we have ammonia meters, pH meters, we'll be able to integrate our computer into those. So you have real-time analysis, it'll use that. Sample management, tracks the sample life from the time we take it through the laboratory, and we send it off, the results come back, that sample can all be put in one place. So, other than that, that's kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody? Council? So,
I would imagine the person who's been doing this by hand's thrilled about this.
Yeah.
to say, this is, we upgraded from stone tablets a little while ago.
Yeah.
When we took it to paper, and now we're actually trying to,
Yeah.
take it digital, so.
Seems a little
Dave
fast
can kind
there.
of attest to that.
No, does anybody have questions? Council, further questions? All right, well, thank you very much, sir. Would there be in any, I guess, because this is, we've had first reading, this is second, would there be any objection to taking it to the third and final reading? So if we have questions, we can cover those. If not, I will move in that direction then. All right, thank you,
Oh.
Madam President.
We are moving right along this evening.
It's the leadership.
Is that it? Do you hear that, Bruce? I'm sure he's watching, just to watch me screw something up. Okay, we will move on to the Finance and Budget Committee meeting with Ms. Seabolt for reappropriations.
Thank you. Well, now, Tanner, we got lots of time.
Great. Trying to take a knee. All right. I saw Joe Porter come in and he said he could make a short story long, and I was like, well, we must be related then. Yeah. All right, council. So I apologize for having to run out last time. We'll talk more about that later. But I went back and watched the video, and it looks like you had some time to chat with our new auditor. So he ran down some of those things with you. Particularly, it looked like you talked a lot about the funds and the accounts. These are appropriations, a little different. So maybe we'll start it off by, we are understanding that these are adjustments and not reappropriations. There's only one true reappropriation in here, right? Okay. Do you have questions? And I've separated them between general fund appropriations, which are truly the only real increases to the general fund budget. And before we get started, I did go back through, and I know, Jay, you referenced or Mr. Mahan, sorry, excuse me, a little more formal. You referenced the kind of the explainer sheet. So in the exhibit that you have, you know, it breaks down all the numbers, and then I provided council with that same information with a little bit more detail. And I did go back in and add even some more detail to that. So if you have electronic access to that, or if you've seen it in the last week, you have some more meat to that. Other than, you know, anticipated revenues do not meet expenditures. Thanks, got it. You know, give you a little bit more to work with than that. So working with both the auditor's office and the treasurer's office, with the anticipated incomes from last year, the anticipated revenue from last year, we brought in about a little over 600,000 more than we anticipated. That's good. And then the carryover, the general fund carryover, which, you know, we wanted to provide that information at the time of the budget, but we simply didn't have it. And moving forward, you know, now we're going to have that. You know, we can, Dan's office is fully staffed. They have, you know, the tech upgrades they need. Everybody's getting the training that they require. So the goal is for them to close those months closer to the end of the month. You know, I think the county turns over around, you know, no later than 3 to 4 days. That really should be the city's, you know, objective too. So if we can do that, then there's no reason that we can't have, and if you remember correctly, if you go back in and you still have live access to this, especially in the non-general fund funds, several of those, like in Public Works, we'll see the anticipated revenue for the prior year and the budget and the anticipated carryover and things like that. I want you to have that for every fund. And the more specific data that we had, I was able to provide that for you. And if we didn't have it, I didn't want you to, you know, be working off fictitious information. So now we know in the general fund, we had about a $2 million carryover. That figure came from the auditor's office, and then the 600,000 in revenue, that came from the treasurer's office. So keeping that in mind with these increases, this is primarily, that's all, in the auditor's office. And I believe he called you all and at least talked to you up here about the need for that, most of these one-time increases. If you have questions about that, you know, take it up with Dan. I told him, I said, I'm going to throw you to the wolves on that one. So as far as that reappropriation, so this is the only true reappropriation in here. It's a totally different color. It's $6,000 coming from that contingencies line that we created in the safety service budget. It will create a line in the council budget to pay the council clerk. Currently, there is no existing council clerk line. There's no compensation for the independent compensation for the council clerk. Just systemically, I feel like that needs fixed, and I think we've had the discussion about, you know, the need for that. Do we need to discuss that? Do you have any questions regarding that? Because right now it is the mayor's, assistant that has historically carried that role, and it's the mayor's budget that pays for that, and you could wind up in an issue there. So we are going to fix that for posterity. Now we have moved on to the non-general fund. Most of these are just shifting expenses from one fund that will not receive the revenue to another fund that will receive the revenue. So you see, a big one would be we'll jump down to the decrease in the 208 chief, captain, and fireman from almost $1.4 million. Oh my gosh, how are we going to have a fire department? The income does not come to 208. It primarily comes to 224, which is why the next piece there, you see an increase in appropriations into 224, 201 for the exact same amount. So it's really just shifting the, those expenses into the appropriate fund where the revenues are going to come. And that's based off of, in this particular instance, that voted income tax and how that's distributed. Is simply, and I think we talked about this, we just needed to know where the information was at the time. Now we've got it, and now we can appropriately adjust this. Shouldn't see this again. So you shouldn't.
We did cover this at budget season with some of these shifts that were needing to take place specifically with the police and fire.
Yeah, police and fire. And I know Mrs. Woods and I went back and forth, and we were both cross-eyed by the time we were done talking about the pension. Still don't know. I mean, and you're seeing a lot of the expenses being shifted around. The question is, where are those revenues and how do they need to? Can we eventually phase out the 901 and 902? And I would hope so, because I feel like we've got, particularly in the 224, and I look over here at the chief, they budget for expenses in the 224 for OPNF, and it's the same situation in 224 2100 for the fire. But we also have 901 and 902 that are police and fire pension. I don't know why there are two of them.
Will 208 eventually just disappear?
208 is funded separately. So 208 and 224 will always remain. Then there's pickup in the 101. It's just, and we'll have this conversation. We also talked about this, which we're coming up on a time where we need to have the discussion. There's also, there he is. There's the guy. It's his fault. How convenient. So there's a bill at the State House regarding short-term rentals. So we're going to have to have that discussion. We've got another hotel coming online. We talked about in the budget season with the bed tax and the way that we distribute that and where that comes in. There is a separate line in the 101-3600, the Walter J. Rudin Fund. But there's also the 219 and the 223, which is the petition, the available petition fund and the lodging excise. It's the way that that's all broken down that is kind of confusing when you go back and look at the legislation. So we probably need to re-explore that on top of, which this was Mr. Miller's thing, so congratulations, Linnea, this is your baton now. There is still about $4,000 set aside for scholarships at Hiawatha Water Park. So how do we, it's setting aside in its own separate fund, what do we do with that? Do we do anything with that? Do we care for it? I don't care. We just probably ought to talk about it, right?
Well, there are very specific ways that money has to be spent in legislation
which
already.
we should talk about, yeah, because right now we're just carrying over, and I think we're gonna, after the world ends, it'll just be that in the fund. So we should probably have to, so we should probably have this conversation at some point. And I mean, we could, now that we have really pulled all the way through this, you're seeing just a dozen of these. So I think it's worth the time to sit down, especially in the budget narrative. We talked about, these quarterly revenue reports, which basically happened last time. If we want to schedule another Q1 revenue report, we can do that. I think we kind of covered it, but if you want another one, we'll get you those regular revenue reports. And then maybe at a next quarter, we can have, in addition to those reports, have those conversations about the excise tax or the lodging tax and the distribution thereof and several of those other issues. But I say all of that to say, there's still a lot about the way that these funds are broken down and that they're accounted for as funds, but as we talked about today, even though they're accounted for as funds, and I know this is something that Mrs. Woods cares about and Mrs. Seavolt, they're not separate funds in a banking institution. And that was the big thing about the reserve balance account or the rainy day fund. They were all accounted for in the general fund in the 9401, which is just our general banking account, our checkbook, basically, our checking account. So do we have the desire to separate the perpetual care fund, which is required to be for the cemetery, which is required to be separated? It isn't.
We need to.
This is a problem. So
It's not in its own fund?
it is not.
I'm not saying bank account, but it's not in its own
Own
fund?
fund. It is not, yeah. So these were the things that needed teased through to figure out, and they take time to fix. So we also have to make sure that we untangle the spaghetti plate to figure out, what exactly, where the revenues are going, how they should be distributed. Does our legislation match up with the way the state requires us to match up that legislation? There's a lot that goes into it. So, and we want to be open and transparent about it, and that's why I want to create these spreadsheets that you all have live access to. That way we're not, playing any sort of, or we can't be accused of playing any sort of secret hand in any way. So these are all adjustments. The other things that aren't just shifting expenditures are simply, and I think a couple of them are just a couple $100 of, we were going off of old data or we were going off of carryover figures that didn't quite match up, and we shifted down the expenses. So if you're a fiscal conservative, you should love this thing. You should definitely vote yes. Barry Goldwater is looking down upon us. Questions? Yes, it does. It has to be sent to the county so they can approve. They will not approve anything that has us, obviously, we can't pass this is not Washington DC, folks. We do not have a printing press. Upsetting Joe Porter, apparently, so. Yeah, okay, tree press, whatever.
Anything else?
I
Good.
guess if there's no questions, then I guess we're done.
If we're all sufficiently confused, then we have done our job, right?
I'm just impressed
Government
how much you know
finance.
the numbers of every account.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're making progress.
Okay, I guess we will adjourn committee meetings minutes.
What?
Or committee. Wow, this is going to be a good one. We'll adjourn until 7:30. How's that?
Hey, you were right. That's it. Let's commit.
We will call to order the March 24th session of City Council. Let's start with roll call, please.
Mrs. Seabolt,
Here.
Mr. Severns,
Here.
Mr. Mahan,
Here.
Mrs. Woods,
Here.
Mr. Ruckman,
Here.
Ms. Keener,
Here.
Mrs. Hager.
Here.
This evening, we have Pastor Rick Gromlich here from Proclamation Church. If you'll please rise for the invocation and stand for the pledge.
Gracious Father, we thank you for your kindness to us in all things. Thank you that we can gather here. Thank you for life and breath and everything else that you give to us. Thank you that we have the opportunity to come and pray for those who lead us, as 1 Timothy 2 commands us to pray for those who have authority over us and who have influence, so that we can lead peaceable, quiet lives, and so we can faithfully follow your word. So we thank you for that. We pray that you would bless our leaders as they work to serve us in our community, that we would be a community that is graceful and kind and truthful and justice prevails. We thank you, Lord, for those who do sacrifice in many ways for these things. I pray that there would be a spirit of unity among our leaders, and they would give one another the benefit of the doubt and be patient and clear in their communication. Thank you, Lord, for those, again, who serve us. We pray this in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Council, in your packet are the minutes from the March 10th legislative session. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
I have a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. I see no petitions or communications. There are a couple of committee reports in there, and I see no liquor control licenses or proclamations. We do have two people wishing to speak on matters of city council. I'll ask you to come and speak, state your name and address. We'll give you 4 minutes. We'll start with Jeff Durr.
I didn't think we needed a committee meeting or anything for Parks and Recreation, so the mayor asked me to just come give a couple of updates for the rec department for some things coming up. Today I posted the information for Hiawatha Water Park is out on the website, so the flyers and membership and season information is out there now. The season will run May 24th through August 23rd. There may be some tweaks to there. We do typically have a few half days at both the beginning or the end of the season, just because of how the school calendar falls. So I'm kind of tossing around whether we want to have half days at the beginning and, mid-May when weather's or if we want to have those in August when it's 95 and miserable out there, so people want to come to the pool. So we'll publish those updates soon for that. So we also had a preseason meeting with Columbus Pool Management. It went very well. Just continuing to build on that excellent relationship and kind of conveying our expectations to them as our contractor. We're going to focus a lot on training this year. Gave them a few topics that just kind of notice some things that we want to keep improving for citizens here in the community. So we also took a look at our advertising. I think last year's budget, we spent about $9,400. Shopped around a little bit, found some different companies that do postcard mailers, graphic design. So we got a couple of quotes in there, and we got that down to a little over $5,100. So, and I'm really pleased with who we selected and went with. And I think I don't have numbers from previous years. I couldn't tell you, how many postcards went out, where they went across the county or the area. But this year, we're going to be looking. Those postcards will go out to about 27,000 households. And it's going to go out in the Town Money Saver magazine, so that was a nice savings. So we aren't paying like full postage for that delivery. So the company that did that for us got us an insert in that magazine, which was a much cheaper option for us. We also went with a 6,000 count household where we will mail those out, and that'll be kind of focusing on the 43050 school district area, because that's where most of our residents obviously live there. And then the company also threw in a quarter-page free advertisement for us in that mailer, so I think that was a nice little bonus to get there. So, and one more was the Park Pavilion updates. We started charging for those rentals this year. As of this morning, we had 51 unique users, and we brought in a little bit more than $1,500 to the recreation accounts for that. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, fire away.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Next, we have Bruce Malik.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Malik. I live at 25 Dixie Drive here in Mount Vernon. Appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I address my comments in particular to Mr. Severns, Ms. Seavolt, Ms. Keener, Mr. Mahan. Mr. Severns, it's my understanding you're the head of the Streets and Public Buildings Committee, and I want to talk about Resolution 2025-24, and I understand that comes out of your committee. Also, as a at-large member of council, as well as Ms. Seavolt and Ms. Keener, Mr. Mahan, you're at-large, and Mr. Mahan, you're my first ward council member. As I understand the resolution, essentially it gives away 2 parcels of the real estate within the city. Those 2 tracts of land, those 2 parcels are valued at $116,200. At some time in the past when they were acquired, short of them having been inherited by bequest, they were acquired with taxpayer money. And in reality, those parcels belong to the people. And I don't know what logic supports the proposition that the mayor or you members of city council as our representatives should simply give it away. I understand from the resolution that the intent is to convey it to a commercial end user so that at some time in the future, local residents will be employed and remit income taxes to the city, ultimately, hopefully, being a plus. But when might that occur? Is there currently a prospective purchaser with a known intended use that benefits the city? How much income is it expected to generate? Unless there's something already in the works, you don't know the answers to those questions. It seems reasonable and logical to retain title to those properties until such time as the city or the land bank has identified a prospective purchaser, so that the city retains control over the properties as well as their ultimate use. Why not do that instead of conveying the properties now for some potential future benefit, God knows when? I assume because, well, that's the way it's done. Maybe it shouldn't be done that way. Finally, the resolution contains language declaring an emergency. There are 7 resolutions for first reading today. 2 of the 7 authorize the auditor to pay bills or make supplemental appropriations. Those are seemingly fairly administrative in nature. Of the other 5, all of them end up with the language and declaring an emergency. Why? Reading from the legislation, an emergency declaration requires that the legislation is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, transfer 2 parcels of real estate, nah. Health, nah. Safety, nah. And for the further reason that it will expedite the economic revitalization of the central business district. Is 30 days going to make a difference? Really? I doubt it.
Mr. Malik, you've reached the end of your 4 minutes. Would you like to request additional time?
2 sentences.
Okay.
Thank you. This administration and this council have misused and abused the emergency declaration, and it's time to stop. Thank you, and I appreciate the additional time.
We have reached the legislative portion of the meeting. Having looked at the agenda, are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll show it approved by consensus. We have no resolutions for third reading. We have 2 for second reading. We will start with Resolution 2025-32. Mr. Hill.
Shouldn't we have excused Bruce?
Do we have to excuse him?
I didn't know about that earlier.
I was gonna say, we didn't.
All right,
excuse
let's just do
Bruce.
it to make it official. Someone want?
Motion to
Thank
let
you.
Bruce
I
be on the
appreciate
beach.
No.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Sorry, I didn't
I
mean
know, I knew it had to
to
mess up
mind
something.
I don't feel bad now.
Mr. Hill.
Resolution number 2025-32, a resolution to adjust appropriations for current expenses for the City of Mount Vernon, State of Ohio, during fiscal year ending December 31, 2025.
Mrs. Siebel.
Thank you. I would like to take resolution number 2025-32 to its third and final reading.
Second. There's a first and second to suspend the rules. Any comments on suspension of the rules? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seaval,
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan,
Yes.
Mrs. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman,
Yes.
Ms. Keener,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended. Mrs. Siebel?
I would like to adopt resolution number 2025-32.
Second. Mrs. Siebel?
Thank you. Okay, Tanner, would you like to say we've had a meeting on this and you did a great job explaining anything? Did you want to say anything more to the people about this?
Nope.
Nope. Does anybody have any comments or questions that you want to say before we vote?
Entertain any questions? We got our auditor here with us as well.
Dan's brain at the bit there.
Yeah.
Be happy to entertain any questions as well from any
Because
of
we
you.
need to vote for this, because this has to be decided right now.
So the short of it is we are moving money around. In most of the cases, equal or thereabouts equal sums. In about, with the exception of about $100,000, $94,000 of which is new appropriations to the auditor's office, some of which for one-time expenses, some of which for moving one employee from part to full-time, which was done during Paul's tenure as auditor. So we're just kind of moving things up for that. A lot of those expenditures were kind of put into motion, like I said, by Paul, and we're just kind of adopting them. We had some office upgrades and, like we said, one-time expenses that we had to go through. And then the rest, as Tanner explained in the finance meeting, or basically one line to another, some adjustments in there.
The bookkeeping all great.
That's right.
Yeah, primarily decreases. I just want that to kind of be known as, and you'll see they're, I don't think they're color coded on the on your sheets, but they are labeled out that, you know, they are decreasing in appropriation. So.
Thank you very much.
Is that all?
That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seaval,
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman,
Yes.
Ms. Keener,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-32 is adopted. Moving on to Resolution 2025-34. Mr. Hill?
Resolution number 2025-34, a resolution authorizing and directing the Safety Service Director of the City of Mount Vernon, Ohio, to enter into contract with Gray Matter Systems, LLC, for installation of laboratory information data collection and reporting systems in the water treatment plant and wastewater treatment plant, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Ruckman?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings and take Resolution 2025-34 to its third and final reading.
Second.
There's a first and second on suspension of the rules. Any comment on the suspension? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seabolt,
Yes.
Mr. Severns,
Yes.
Mr. Mahan,
Yes.
Mrs. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman,
Yes.
Ms. Keener,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rules are suspended. Mr. Ruckman?
Thank you, Madam President. I move to adopt Resolution 2025-34.
Second.
We had our committee meeting about this earlier. As it was covered, I guess we went over, we already had this in the budget. It just helps to improve our system with water and wastewater. Like I said earlier, we've gone from stone tablets to paper. We'd like to actually take it to the next level and bring it past the 90s if we could. So I think it's definitely a good and beneficial thing to do. So I would like to see it passed this evening.
Further discussion? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seabolt,
Yes.
Mr. Severns,
Yes.
Mr. Mahan,
Yes.
Mrs. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman,
Yes.
Ms. Keener,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-34 is adopted. Next, we'll move on to resolutions for first reading, beginning with Resolution 2025-38. Mr. Hill?
Resolution number 2025-38, a resolution to donate surplus city property to another public entity and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Mahan?
Yes, Madam President, I move to suspend the rule requiring 3 separate readings, take resolution number 2025-38 to its third and final reading.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Any comments on the suspension of the rules? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seabolt,
Yes.
Mr. Severns,
Yes.
Mr. Mahan,
Yes.
Mrs. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman,
Yes.
Ms. Keener,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rules are suspended. Mr. Mahan?
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-38.
Second?
Thank you. There's a first and second. Mr. Mahan?
Council, know that we got the new rescue engine, and that was a great event last week. This is the engine that was displaced and is moving out of the rotation. You can see in the legislation it's 25 years old. The chief also said, sent me a note and said it has a problem with the compressed air system for the firefighting apparatus, and it also has a problem with the radiator that's been it's been fixed enough to be used in training, but he didn't necessarily feel good about selling it. And I wanted to go ahead and give Mr. Slyers a chance to comment. I think because for the public would be looking at this, that even an old fire truck's still worth some thousands of dollars. But could you help us with the thought process here? I mean, I know it's been through a lot of miles, and it has some issues, mechanical issues with it, but there's also a training relationship that we're looking at too.
Yeah. So the amount that we think that we could get for this unit versus the amount that the, relational amount, I guess, the partnership that can't be quantified that we could get with KTC, the Knox Technical Center, with their fire program is just, it's far more valuable to us to maintain that relationship and allow them to have a unit that they can work with and work on. When it comes to dollar figures, it makes far more sense for us to just give it to those guys and let them utilize it for their training. So.
Yeah, they're going to give us access to the new facility they're building out there on off of Yager Road, which will greatly aid in the training, which is where the 2 retired fire hydrants are going to go as well.
Yeah, there are 2 fire hydrants in this as well.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Council, I support this. It said the relationship, I agree with Mr. Sawyers, the relationship inside the county and with Knox Technical is important to us. Any other thoughts or questions on this?
Is it, and I'm not going to put you on the spot because I know there's no way to know a number, is it fair to say we have employees who have gone through that program? Okay. I will just speak for training sites who have no chance of ever buying fire trucks outright to use for training.
Right.
This is sort of necessary for them to even compete.
Right.
Anything else?
I don't think so, ma'am.
Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-38 is adopted. We'll move on to Resolution 2025-39. Mr. Hill?
Resolution number 2025-39, a resolution authorizing and directing the Safety Service Director to prepare and submit applications to the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District Non-Point Source Implementation Strategy Development Grant Program for the Center Run, Delano Run, and Dry Creek Watershed Plans, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Seabolt?
Thank you. I would like to suspend the rules that require 3 separate readings and take resolution number 2025-39 to its third and final reading.
Second? We have a first and second to suspend the rules. Any discussion on the suspension? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rules are suspended. Mrs. Seavolt?
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-39.
Second? Mrs. Seavolt?
Thank you. I'll give it to Mr. Starr.
Thank you. Yes, council, we, as you all know, we're being very aggressive with the upkeep and the maintenance of the west end, the levee system. And as part of understanding and getting a feel for our flood control system, we're going to be looking, we've asked help from the county with a channels and bridges survey. We need to know a little bit more in terms of what that's going to cost from a contractor. At the same time, we're going to try to get some of those Muskingum watershed funds back in our community to be able to help pay for the study. And that's what these pieces of legislation are for, just to apply for those grants that are available to us.
Good. I like that.
Is that all? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-39 is adopted. We move on to Resolution 2025-40. Mr. Hill.
Resolution number 2025-40, a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Catherine Breckler to the Knox County Health District Board and declaring an emergency.
Well, this one's me, so I will move to suspend the rules requiring 3 separate readings and take Resolution 2025-40 to its third and final reading.
Second.
There's been a first and second to suspend the rules. Any discussion on the suspension? Mr. Hill.
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rules are suspended. Move to adopt Resolution 2025-40.
Second.
I'm just beating myself up here.
You're doing great.
Mayor Starr.
Thank you, Madam President and Council. Kathy Breckler is no stranger to the city of Mount Vernon. She helped us out on a couple of other committees, as a volunteer. Actually, she was approached by one of the Department of Health members. We need to replace Mr. Brinkman, who was our appointee over there, and so his unexpired term we're asking that Ms. Breckler fill that, and she's excited to do this. She wants to do this, and I think she's going to represent the city very well.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Hill.
Mrs. Seavolt.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-40 is adopted. Next is Resolution 2025-41. Mr. Hill.
Resolution number 2025-41, a resolution authorizing and directing the Safety Service Director to prepare and submit an application for a United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Rural Development Grant for the construction of the new Police Department building at 71 Cycle Road, Mount Vernon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Mahan?
Madam President, we're going to give this its first reading. Mr. Hill, if we could please have a 10-minute committee meeting at the next council meeting to discuss this.
Resolution 2025-41 receives its first reading. Next is Resolution 2025-42. Mr. Hill.
Resolution number 2025-42, a resolution authorizing the city to transfer fee simple title to one or more parcels of commercial real property owned by the city of Mount Vernon to the Knox County Land Reutilization Corporation for purposes of economic development and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Severns?
Yes, Madam Woods, we will give this its first reading, and Mr. Hill, I'd like a 15-minute meeting at the next gathering.
Resolution 2025-42 receives its first reading. Moving on, Resolution 2025-43. Mr. Hill?
Resolution number 2025-43, a resolution authorizing and directing the auditor of the city of Mount Vernon to pay bills pursuant to section 5705.41D, then and now certification.
Mrs. Seavall?
Thank you. I would like to take resolution number 2025-43 to its third and final reading.
Second. There's been a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Any comments on the suspension? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seavall.
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rule is suspended. Mrs. Seavall?
I would like to adopt resolution number 2025-43.
Second. Mrs. Seavall?
Thank you. We now have some then and now.
Yes, ma'am. So the first one of these to the Columbus Pool Management kind of results from I wouldn't say miscommunication, maybe a little bit, yeah, between the way the previous auditor had managed this contract and the way the recreation director now manages it. So nobody really knew who was managing the contract. The contract was, however, budgeted for, which I would say fulfills the spirit of the then and now legislation. The second one of these is to Motorola Solutions. This one we were kind of in a debate as to whether it qualified as a then and now because the invoice noted an earlier purchase order from December 26th for this bill that was dated from February, but we weren't sure what line it was from or where that one was. So in the interest of transparency with you all, we included it. And that one is for police communication equipment. So that's basically the size of it.
Okay.
Just for more clarity, and I think the chief can come up here if you'd like. We had appropriated the money in one fund. The PO was for a smaller amount in that particular line. Is that correct? Or was?
No, the PO was for the entire amount.
Okay, for the entirety of that amount in another fund. And then when we did the budget, we put the money in the law enforcement trust, that 101-3600 fund, and that's where the confusion came from. Was it a true then and now? You can go back and forth, but the money was appropriated.
Was this the walkie-talkie?
Well,
Is that for what?
don't talk them down like that.
So you remember 2 years ago we did the portable radios,
Yeah.
and this year we did the radios for the cars. So these are called mobiles.
Oh, mobile. Okay, sorry.
And the money was initially, when we got the quote, we did the purchase orders. The money ended up being put from one fund to another. So when it came time to pay the bill, the purchase orders that we'd already written, so it wouldn't have been a then and now, were in the wrong fund. We had to rewrite the purchase orders, which is after the date of the invoice. Therefore, it makes it a then and now.
Okay.
It's a shuffle game, basically. And We didn't intend it to be in then and now, and it has been budgeted for. The money's always been there since before the end of the year.
In the past, would it have come before you as a then and now? I do not believe it would. We opted to not do that.
10-4.
This way we
Yeah,
make
radio
sure.
jokes for days. Yeah.
This way we make sure no matter what
Cut
that
her
we're
off.
covered with it.
Cut her mic, Bruce.
Thank you, Ms. Siebel. Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seaval,
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-43 is adopted. Our final resolution is Resolution 2025-44. Mr. Hill.
Resolution number 2025-44, a resolution authorizing and directing the auditor of the City of Mount Vernon to make supplemental appropriations.
Mrs. Siebel.
Thank you. I would like to take resolution number 2025-44 to its third and final reading.
Second. Any discussion on the suspension of the rules? Mr. Hill.
Mrs. Seaval,
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
The rule is suspended. Mrs. Woods, dear Lord, Mrs. Siebel. Wow. We got two more people, two more.
I would like to adopt resolution number 2025-44.
Second.
All right, so this one stems, it's a couple of things. The first is a reimbursement for money accrued from a firefighter who had left. The rest of them, the more substantial portion of this, is reimbursement to the police department for a ton of GovDeal sales going back to 2021. Emily Vanderbrake from our office helped unravel this for the chief there, and did good work, detective work really, kind of figuring out where the money was, what they were owed, because there were some you were paid some over the years, but just a little bit. Yeah, so it was going back, kind of reverse engineering and figuring out what they were in fact owed. So that's basically what that was.
Anything else? Mr. Hill?
Mrs. Seaval,
Yes.
Mr. Severns.
Yes.
Mr. Mahan.
Yes.
Mrs. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. Ruckman.
Yes.
Ms. Keener.
Yes.
Mrs. Hager.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-44 is adopted. We move on to ordinances. There are no ordinances for third or second reading. We have one ordinance for first reading. Ordinance 2025-09. Mr. Hill, if you can read one more for us, please.
Ordinance number 2025-09, an ordinance amending the zoning classification of parcels number 66-05624.000, 66-05627.000, 66-05628.000, and 66-05629.000 from R1A Core Residential District to R3 Attached Residential District.
Thank you. Mrs. Keener?
Thank you, Madam President. We're going to give this its first reading tonight, and can I have a 10-minute committee meeting at the next meeting? There is a public hearing on this April 28th at 6:55 for however long that's going to be. This did come to us with a vote of 5-0 from municipal planning.
Technically, it was a vote of 4 and 1.
Grudgingly.
Yeah. So just want that to be clear.
Maybe watch the video.
Still counts.
And that's all.
All right.
Okay, ordinance 2025-09 receives its first reading. We'll move on to remarks from administration and begin with Mayor Starr.
Thank you, Madam President and Council. Council, just a few things. I sent you the update, so I'm not going to repeat myself in that area, but I do want to let you know that tomorrow, I know that many of you were interested on what we're doing in terms of short-term, medium-term, and long-term efforts to help with flood control. Tomorrow, we will be beginning to work on the tree removal along the dike. And so that will start. I will be out there at 9 a.m. I asked Mr. Ruckman if he could join me as well with that, so that's going to happen. The trees that will be felled, as voted on by the Utilities Commission, the proceeds will go back into the maintenance of the levee itself. So wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Also, I would like to welcome Councilwoman Vernon Hager to City Council. Glad to have you here.
Thank
And I would also like to say congratulations and goodbye to our good friend, Mr. Director Bruce McPherson, who is going to go work for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's cool.
Go Peds, right? You got a fan on. Anyway, thank you, Bruce, for all of your work in getting this new procedure of increased transparency and public communications out to the citizenry. All the troubleshooting and everything and the headaches. We'll miss you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sowers?
Thank you, Madam President. Also, welcome, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you.
So, about 4 years ago, I got up here after the birth of my daughter and said the phrase, it was probably on Zoom at that point, in COVID. I said, you don't know how much it means until it means everything. We had a little bit of a traumatic birth situation when she was born, and KCH was a phenomenal hospital to handle that. And I say that because last Monday, I sat down and was ready to go through a council meeting, and I got a phone call from my wife saying that they had been in an accident, and I immediately left, thus ruining my perfect attendance record from both council and being the safety service director. Van's gone, but my wife and daughter are okay, and I cannot say enough about our Mount Vernon Police Department and our Mount Vernon Fire Department. I'm incredibly grateful for that, and thank you for your comments and your thoughts and your prayers. And like I said, the training and the professionalism that they have is, you can't say enough. You don't know how much it means until it means everything. So you can always replace a van. And that's exactly what we did. Chrysler Pacifica was great, and we went and got another one. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that one was very broke, so we fixed it. In other news, we hope to have a city inspector hired by next week. You created that position, so interviews are taking place, and we hope to have that one hired. The test for the property maintenance enforcement officer, or who will now be the assistant city inspector, has already been administered. So once we hire the city inspector, we will then sit down and hire his assistant. I don't want to hire that guy before I hire the other guy, right? So that'll be taken care of. And then Mel's favorite day of the year will be taking place this Saturday. Show us the guns, Mel. So that's March 29th. That's Tire Recycle Day. This is open to the entirety of the county. We can take on about 2,000 tires. So that's $10 per load of 5 tires, unlimited loads of tires. That'll be at the fairgrounds. Yes, I'm aware that Fairgrounds Road is being ripped apart right now. We will make room for you to bring your tires to Fairgrounds Road. There will be people on hand, led by Jeff Durr, to help you, and Lynn Hager and Mel Severns. So you got competition this year. So there you go. It's a battle of the Fourth Ward V at large. There you go.
What is the time again?
It is 8 to noon or until the trailers fill up.
Right.
So get there, get your tires. It's a huge benefit. We thank DKMM and Knox County Litter and Recycling for helping us out with that. That way we can keep those out of, the river and random places off the side of the road. So that's this weekend, March 29th, 8 a.m. to noon or until the trailers fill up at the fairgrounds. So thank you all.
Okay. Mr. Brinkman, any further comments?
Only welcome and congratulations to Mrs. Hager.
Hi, thanks.
Mr. Bourne?
Congratulations to Mrs. Hager, and other than that, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Stoller's here. Mr. Severns?
Yes, a few things. Welcome, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you.
Lannan.
Lannan.
Right? All right. And I want to pat my neighbor right here, Councilman Ruckelman, for a new baby girl in their life. Congratulations, that's exciting. And I will be there Saturday. Another couple that is at my church said they couldn't be there this week, and they were wonderful last time as well, and older than me, so it was great. I do want to mention a trip that some of us made on Friday, March 14th. The mayor and Tanner and our engineer Brian Ball and John Alberts, the 5 of us went down to Gahanna to basically tour the new building that they are working on literally right now. We had to wear hard hats and vests and everything. But Mayor Jadwin and a gentleman named Kevin showed us around the building. It's pretty interesting. They're going through a lot of the kinds of decisions that we're going through. So I think this was a former, wasn't it one of the AEP buildings? There's like twin buildings. I think it was built in the early 1990s, 90 or 92. But it's a $59 million project. It's really large. They're going to have their city offices in there. They will have their police station on the one end, and then they also have a senior center in this building. And so it was very raw. I mean, we were looking at studs and all that and workers, and they had to move. We were moving for them. They were moving for us. There were areas where we could not go because there was cement. But the point of it is that they took an old building, an older building, and repurposed it to really expand. And I think one of the points, and the mayor reiterated this to me as well, that it was important for them to build for growth. They were currently in 3 or 4 buildings by the high school, Gahanna High School, and they are just kind of running out. They ran out of room, and just because their buildings weren't together, there was just a lot of disjointed services. So bringing basically those 3 entities into one building is going to help their community. It'll be a very nice place. Like I said, it's a $59 million project, and it's just important, I think, as we think about our needs, police station, justice center, and basically city hall offices, that we have to think growth. And I think it's important for us as we move forward to do that. So just one other little reminder, we have our final public meeting tomorrow night in this room at 6, which is the last public meeting for the Justice Center. And then we are done with, we used January, February, and March for all of those public meetings. But tomorrow night here at 6 o'clock will be the final one. So thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Keener?
Thank you. I only have one thing, and I'm mentioning it because I don't think we have another council meeting before it, but the Downtown Merchants are having their 4th annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 12th from 11 to 3. It is always a fun time, except for my children who go late and there's no Easter eggs left, but we do get coffee downtown. So get out there and enjoy the Easter egg hunt. I did want to ask, I saw that there is a ship at the splash pad. I should have asked Jeff when he was here, but could we just get an update? I know it's still like moving along, but just so that the public knows as pieces go up.
We are on target. I believe we finished the roof. There's still some electrical work being done in that facility. Those were repurposed tiles from from the B&O and the CA&C. And right now, I believe we've got a ribbon cutting for May 20th. Now, if you remember, our contract is we have to have it functional before then, but also we're aware that even though the contract states that we have to have it done by then, which we're on target to do, it will be cold. And will not be as inviting at that point. So the ribbon cutting is set a little bit later than that. But how about we have, the engineering department come in and talk to you about.
Yeah, it doesn't all have to be tonight. I just saw that there's good progress, and I think that
Yep.
an update is probably
Moving right along. Thank you.
and that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ruckman? Hey.
Oh, and welcome.
Are you
sorry.
awake?
That's actually really kind of humorous that you should bring that up, because all of the children were very excited when we drove past it and they saw there was a ship there. There was discussion of costumes because it's a pirate ship, so that's already. And we immediately went home and found the ribbon cutting date and made sure it was on the refrigerator calendar. So they're all very jazzed about that. But anyways, welcome, Linnea. Glad to have you here. So that you seem to have made it through your first evening great, right?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good, great. So,
There's
no.
no time to mess up.
There's no. So, welcome to you. And I also just want to thank my beautiful wife for bringing our daughter into the world. So, very exciting, very special. And just want to thank her for the blessing that she is to me. So, that's all.
Wow, who can top that, Mr. Mayhew?
I want to welcome Mrs. Hager. Congratulations and thanks for your work, Bruce. And go Columbus Blue Jackets.
Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, Mrs. Seabolt?
Well, I'll miss seeing Bruce's smiling face back there, so I will miss seeing you, Bruce, but I wish you the best. And whatever team. That's all, thank you.
Mrs. Hagar, any comments this evening?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody. It's been a really, it's been really nice how gracious everyone's been in the last few weeks, knowing that I was coming on board. I also wanted to remind folks that we have this little gem in Mount Vernon at Was Crickets that closed temporarily in the middle of January because of a building being sold. And they are having a grand reopening on Tuesday, April 1st, and they're now located at 316 South Main Street. And that's a small business that we definitely want to support. It's wonderful.
Thank you. I guess my only comment this evening is welcome aboard. If
Thanks.
tonight didn't prove you can screw up, we're human up here. Wow, tonight was a fall. I want to thank the news for being here, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.